Can you explain starvation mode? This is essentially the internet term for the idea that if you undereat for too long, your body will slow down its metabolic rate so much that you simply would be unable to lose weight no matter how low in calories you get. What we do know from the literature is that there is what is referred to as metabolic adaptation, which is typically a reduction in energy expenditure in the scenario of prolonged dieting. But metabolic adaptation typically is not nearly as exaggerated as starvation mode. There's a few things that go into our total energy expenditure. Our basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories that you would burn if you simply laid in a prone position all day long. Our non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is the additional calories that you burn actually living that are not structured exercise, such as cooking, cleaning, talking, getting into your car, etc. The thermic effect of food, which is the amount of calories that you burn simply digesting and metabolizing your food. And your energy expenditure thermogenesis, which is the amount of calories that you burn during exercise, which as you can see is actually a very small portion of your total daily energy expenditure. It does appear that because we lose metabolically active tissue, for example, fat tissue does actually burn calories at rest, our basal metabolic rate will decrease. And there can be a decrease in our non-resting energy expenditure, which is the amount of calories that we burn doing movements of everyday life. The reason this can decrease is because you simply move less, and you burn less calories during the same intensity of exercise. And after approximately a 10% weight reduction, to put some numbers on this, we do actually have data from the Biggest Loser competition. And after about a 40% body weight loss, and typically eating approximately 600 calories per day, these participants had a reduction in metabolic expenditure by approximately 300 calories a day. And a 15% decrease in energy expenditure is the typical decrease in energy expenditure upon a 10% weight reduction. There can be a reduction in energy expenditure after prolonged dieting. Typically, metabolic expenditure will increase after weight stability, essentially once you get out of a caloric deficit. Additionally, very importantly, metabolic adaptation is not a major barrier to weight loss, because even in those with the highest metabolic adaptation, it did not appear to affect their ability to maintain weight stability after losing weight. And it absolutely will not prevent you from losing weight no matter how little you eat. This is best demonstrated by what is referred to as the Minnesota Starvation Study. For 6 months, these individuals followed a 1,570 calorie diet. They lost approximately 25% of their weight. And as unpleasant as it may be, when pictures were taken at the end, they simply did not have any body fat. Therefore, their body did not go into starvation mode and begin retaining body fat. The next important caveat is that during weight loss, your appetite increases drastically. Therefore, even on the same number of calories, you may feel like you are in a starved state. Therefore, you may be maintaining your weight on what feels like a very small amount of food because your appetite is drastically elevated. And on an even more positive note, there's a myriad of things that we can do to prevent this metabolic adaptation during weight loss. The first is it does appear that a higher protein diet increases energy expenditure. And in individuals with the most physical activity, they see the smallest reductions in total daily energy expenditure. Resistance training itself can increase metabolic rate. And having more muscle mass also slightly increases resting metabolic rate. We also see that micronutrient deficiencies can drastically reduce energy expenditure. Replenishing individuals of their zinc and selenium has been demonstrated to increase their energy expenditure by approximately 400 calories per day. And this will likely vary depending on the degree to which you are deficient in zinc and selenium, or another micronutrient for that matter. We also see that those who take diet breaks, in which they may be in a caloric deficit for 4 weeks, be at maintenance for 1 week, and then repeat this cycle, have a lower compensatory reduction in energy expenditure. Finally, we know that insufficient sleep can further reduce energy expenditure. So doing your best to get sufficient sleep can maintain your energy expenditure to the greatest degree possible. Starvation mode, the way that it is portrayed on social media, typically is incorrect. Your body will not put the brakes on weight loss if you're eating too little food. It will become more difficult and you may get a reduction in energy expenditure. But if you still maintain a caloric deficit, your body will not magically hold on to fat. But understand there are things that we can do to mitigate this metabolic adaptation. And this metabolic adaptation does not appear to prevent you from losing fat, or even prevent you from maintaining this fat loss. With that being said, if you would like an individualized approach to your nutrition and lifestyle to optimize your health, energy, and body composition, send me a DM to sign up for coaching.